Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's your boy, Caden, back at you again with a new kind of video. I'm recording a YouTube tutorial here on Hunt Showdown, the game that has quickly risen from a game that I bought on a whim to my favorite PvP game of all time over the course of the last few months. Now, in today's video, I will be giving you an introduction to the wonderful world of Hunt Showdown, starting with the most important segment that you'll need to know first: the menu. Because if you don't go in the menu, you don't get anywhere. Now, to explain to you the entirety of how this all works, you see here, this menu right here, this one here, called the lobby. You know what that does? This takes you to where you see your character, whatever gun you have equipped. I have currently the Black Coat, who is a legendary hunter, which we'll get to in a second. Don't rush me. We will, as you can see down here, you have the options button. Will get you into a match. Your selections with the allow teams of 3 and skill based. Just above that is your match MMR, which teaches you where you are. I have strong MMR, but not the strongest. I don't have like extreme MMR. I don't know what this does. I'm still a little bit new to it myself. I don't know what the little 3 arrows mean, but I don't think it means much of anything. None of this matters. This is all the simple stuff. You should be able to figure it out. You click R2 once you get to quick play, a whole different game mode. This is like, I want to say Battle Royale, but it's not at all. That's just the closest thing that I compare it to. You spawn in with a random weapon, go find some other weapons. Last one standing gets to keep their character. Trials are weird. I haven't done them myself. Training, do these. You get a bunch of blood bonds, which will get you to where you need to get to a legendary hunter. Contracts, there ain't much of specific contracts yet. All it is random, so this menu doesn't matter. You go to progress. This will teach you where you are in your level. I am a level 100 prestige 0. I'm planning on prestiging soon, but I want to waste all my hunt dollars, which I probably should have explained that first. Up here is your currencies, your hunt dollars to buy guns, and blood bonds to buy legendary skins and or characters. Trials rewards, that's for doing the trials. Here's your statistics. My statistics aren't that good. I have a 111 KD ratio, which is alright, I guess. Here's your daily and weekly challenges, which I forget exist. This is where you see where you did the last match. Here's the roster, which will show you all of your characters and what weapons and traits they have equipped, which is now whenever menus start to get interesting. And let's see, let's experiment around here with the Black Coat. That'll show you off what to do. Here's all of your weaponaries. You scroll through here, you can find whatever weapon you need, and then you have all these little things here to teach you where certain kinds of weapons are. You can equip you can look for just large slots. Now I can find, obviously the topmost weapon is the one you have equipped, and if you don't have equipped, there won't be anything at the topmost. Now I can see all the large slot weapons, such as the bomb lance, crossbows, and labels, Mosins, shotguns, all this, all that, all the good stuff. Now over here you have your different ammo types, which will take you to the large slot compacts, such as all your Winfields. Now if you get rid of that, large slot mediums, that'll take you to your Springfields and Rutilinis, and obviously another kind of Winfield with the bigger ammo. Then you go to long ammos, that'll take you to all your overpowered sniper bullshits. Shotgun shells, obviously shotgun shells. You got explosive ammo. Some weapons have explosive ammo, not many, but that summarizes the gist of all the that up here. And go down, you got all your secondary weapons. Pretty easy to figure out. If you want to, you can have a whole separate secondary weapons on your classes. It doesn't matter. Go over here to your tools. You have such things as your knives, medkits, and trip mines, all the good stuff. All of this is a very important summary. Everything in your tools will come back if you survive. If you survive through the match and get back to the lobby, then your tools will regen automatically. However, now we get down to the consumables. Everything here, once it's used on a match, it's done for. You can't get it back. That's why usually looting hunters will give you random consumables, because they don't matter. Consumables, they're consumables. You don't need that's pretty self-explanatory. Once they're used, they're done for. They're gone forever. I usually just run 2 weak vitality shots myself. If you're going off of cheap loadouts, just buy like This is not a cheap loadout. I don't think that the Terminus hand cannon is very cheap at all. Actually, it's not. It's $300. Usually, if you're going for cheap loadouts, go sub 300. What I like to do is just run a... Hello, everybody. Caden from the future here. You can tell I'm from the future because you can see all the crappy editing software. Anyway, this is a huge detail I overlooked. Do you see that little star there? Yeah, that one. That's the whole favoriting system, which is one of the most important things if you want to buy your loadouts quicker. And not like me, who didn't know that for 6 months and was buying loadouts at the speed of like a tortoise. So just a tip from a good guy. Remember, please, especially if you're on console, it just gets worse. Winfield Vandal and a Romero hand cannon. That's a pretty good cheap loadout. On top of that, a knuckle knife and a med kit. Don't get choke bombs if you're going for cheap loadouts. I just got choke bombs because, well, my friends get caught on fire a lot. And only 2 weak vitality shots if you're going cheap. Okay, that's enough of teaching you how all this works. If you go now to the traits, every single trait here is like it's like a perk. Or think of it like a skill tree, but once those skills are gone, you don't get them back until you pay for them again with your skill points. Easily enough. Let's explain some of the more simpler ones here. Bloodless. This is my favorite one to have. Bleeding, which there are 3 different types of bleeding in this game. Some attacks cause light bleeding, which isn't too bad. Some cause medium, which take a little bit longer to stop. And then some are intense bleeding, which drain your health bar extremely fast and take forever to stop. Getting bloodless prevents any of that bullshit from happening. Now, go to respect. I haven't done this before because it doesn't really matter. That's the gist of most traits. Some are for more... Here's your filters. You have your offensive, defensive, movement, and supportive types. You can also hide locked ones, which I don't have any locked, so that does nothing. Let's explain maybe one more, then we'll move on. Where's Iron Sharpshooter? There it is. Iron Sharpshooter. Remain in iron sights after firing a shot with bolt-action rifles. It basically makes it to where you can bolt your weapons faster while in iron sights. That should explain it like that, but it doesn't. That should be the gist of your character menu. Another reminder, once your characters die past level 10, they're dead for good. No more character. Bye-bye, black coat. That's the explanation on that. Now you go over to the recruitment menu. Here you will find one free character and then a bunch of other characters with various items. These are good ways to set up full classes without having to worry, but I wouldn't really go for anyone but the free characters because they usually don't have anything too worth the price that they're barging for. I mean, look at this guy. Almost $900 for just a Mosin Nagant Lamat and throwing knives. Oh my god, doesn't even have a medkit. He has throwing knives and decoys, and they're not even blank fire decoys. They're just regular old decoys. He has a Concertina bomb. That's actually pretty good. And then his traits are boring, except for Greyhound. Greyhound's good. Soul Survivors. This is where you will find your quick play characters. They are... If you can win a quick play match, it's the most worth it to get those guys. Legendary Hunters, these are also pretty worth it characters. You get one Legendary Hunter for $333, which, if you're like me, that ain't much. I got the Black Coat. This is where Blood Bonds come in. You can use Blood Bonds to buy certain Legendary Hunters, and then Hunt dollars to buy the rest moving forward. Now, all these characters are pretty interesting. My favorite out of the bunch was Black Coat. There's some that you have to pay for with your real life money that you get from doing your real life shtick, like robbing banks. I don't know. You do whatever you do. But yeah, that's the gist of the Legendary Hunters. You move on to the store. This is where you can buy the weapons before applying them to your characters, or just buy them from the character menu like I do. This is where you can also see all the weapons you haven't unlocked just yet, and how to unlock them. Let's say, where's the... Here, Codwell Rival Hand Cannon. If I click on it, it tells me to earn 750 XP with any Codwell Rival 78 variant. Pretty self-explanatory. I didn't know it at first, but it should be able to, once you read into it, you'll be able to figure it out. And once you just play a few games, you'll end up unlocking something, and then it'll all be explained right then and there. It's pretty magical or whatever. You go over here to your legendary weapons. You can spend blood bonds to buy legendary weapons, which, why would you if you don't have a legendary hunter just yet? Be smart. Don't waste your blood bonds out there, kids. If a person asks you to buy drugs off him and he asks for blood bonds, don't do it. That ain't worth it. Ask for more drugs. Anyway, over here you got all your, once again, your legendary weapons, such as the Gold Rush. This is one of my favorite ones that I bought with blood bonds. See, that's way more worth it than only one single crystal meth rock. The Mountain Air, that one's actually a DLC weapon. Don't bother with that. Some are free, such as the Vanguard. Actually, I can't show you where are the owned ones. What are these? Where are the other ones? What? Anyway, some are free, such as the Vanguard, the Bear's Tooth, Dark Messiah, Hedra, Metaphorium. The Fauntless, that one is actually DLC. The Pearl is another one that I bought with my blood bonds. The Fauntless wasn't DLC, it was a event. Bear's Tooth, there's that one that it was for free. And yeah, essentially all these are kinda, maybe not really worth it. Make sure to buy ones that you actually enjoy looking at. Whenever you click on them, you can go into 3D view and then see which ones look nice. Let's say that you're a big fan of the Terminus hand cannon. This might actually vibe with you. I don't know. Then you can drop your 479 blood bonds that you've built up over the last 479 games to get that one legendary variant. Here's your tools menu, your consumables. I've already explained all those. Here's all the DLC menus, which I've been looking at a couple myself. I don't know which ones I want to get just yet. Ever since I've seen, make sure your skill level's something you're comfortable with before going and just buying DLCs. Don't waste your money. I mean, come on, you just robbed that bank. You're not going to get that stuff back. Here's all your legendary hunters. Some are from the legendary hunter menu. Here's the blood bonds purchase, which you can buy with your real life money as well, but you can also just find them around the game. Here's the leaderboards where you can see the topmost players, which I think number 4 seems like the only guy who's actually real. I don't know what that noise is. Here's the library, which will teach you. Here's the manual to how the game works. The Liber de Monstratorium, which will show you all the. That's also. I don't think that's how it's pronounced, but shut up. This will show you all the backstory and stuff to the monsters, and if you kill certain amounts of them, you can unlock another page about them, which will give you like 3 blood bonds. It's pretty good. Here's the weapon menu, which does the same. Once you get kills with the weapons, you can unlock another page about them, which will give you some blood bonds. Pretty cool and whatever, fool. See, look, claim. Boom, I just got me a whole blood bond. Here's also your legal notes. I'll read through these if you actually care. Here's the credits, which I should probably read through these one day. And that's the gist of the whole menu up here. But now let's move on to my favorite part of this menu. You go up here, do not click options to get to the settings menu, by the way, because that'll just start you in a game and you'll be terrified if you haven't adjusted your settings yet. My favorite thing, the settings. This is where it'll show you, this is where everything of importance goes down. Your lowered state of view, lowered state field of view, all your field of view should just remain at default, because otherwise it's weird getting used to. ADS, if you're like me, you want to keep that on hold. This is where everything is important. Lowered state, that's something I should reference. The lowered state of your weapon after you hold triangle, which or if you have this on, whenever you run, it automatically turns on. It will essentially get rid of your hip fire reticle, but if you have your sensitivities turned up higher for default and stuff, it'll make it to where you can turn faster without that. And then if you put your gun into hipfire mode, you turn a little bit slower, and then ADS should be a lot slower. These are all my settings, which adjusting settings are kind of baloney on PlayStation. You gotta nail it, essentially. Hold on, wait, I can get it. I know I can. Why am I hearing a... I'm not even gonna... All here... Now, here's the most, like, in-depth settings. There are different settings for every kind of scope. These are my settings. If you end up watching my gameplay later and thinking that I'm doing pretty good, which you're wrong, you should go watch someone like Raj2Z. He's an amazing Hunt Showdown YouTuber. He teaches virtually everything. If you want to know even more about the game than just the basics of it, go to him first. Go to him after this video. Watch my content. I swear, it's good. Turning extra strength. Now, this is where I get confused. I don't know much of any of this, but the defaults are pretty... Anyway, here's your HUD sensitivities. I haven't adjusted anything past here. Audio is actually pretty useful. You might want to turn down music because sometimes it can get loud. Communications, I don't play in game chat, so that doesn't matter to me. Your SFX, your master. Sound effects should always be at top because, you know, you need to make sure you hear footsteps in this game. That's one of the most important things. Voice chat mode, toggle to talk. Toggle muted, continuous. I'm gonna keep that on continuous, that's pretty good. Why am I hearing a heartbeat monitor? Anyway, audio input device, headset, output, that'll make sure that, you know, your whole sound doesn't feel weird. Here's your controller layout, which, another thing that I forgot to mention, there's two different controller modes, Gunslinger and Hunter. I run Gunslinger because I don't understand Hunter, but yeah, that's essentially. Over here is the controller loadout, which will teach you how your controls work. You can get lefties. No one should play on lefty, I'm just saying. But yeah, that's, unless you're left-handed, that would actually make sense, come to think of it. Yeah, that's how the entirety of the menu works. Now, I'll be running up some matches later so I can show off the whole mechanics of the game. Actually, wait, what am I doing? I can go into a training? Hey, just a quick explanation of what you're seeing on screen. I couldn't fit in the entirety of this clip that you're seeing in the background because it would have made the video way too long, so I'm just going to do a voiceover of everything that needs to be explained that hasn't been explained properly yet. Starting with the number one most important part of any game, the gameplay. And where to start with the gameplay except from where you spawn. Now, every single spawn is determined on how many people there are in your match, but it also kinda is just a little bit more random if there's less people in your matches. Every spawn is at every spawn is at the edge of the map. There's roads leading out of it. I don't think you can spawn on exits because that would glitch out the game. But every single one of those spawns has a spawn next to it, and if you're looking for PvP combat, my biggest suggestion would be to go check the nearest spawn. Now, moving on to where you should go after you spawn, such as the compounds with the clues in them, because not every single compound, but most every compound is going to have a clue in it, and you can either go into dark side like you see there in the background and just find the nearest one like that, or you can check your map and go to a compound that's inside the white area, not the gray area, because if it's in the gray, then you're more than likely to not find what you're looking for there. But once you find the clues in these compounds, you interact with the clues, and then they cut off more and more bits of the map so you can go find the boss. Now, before I talk about the boss, let's talk about what you'll most likely encounter in the compounds, which is PvP combat. Starting with the most important part of PvP combat is knowing your guns, because there is different varieties to every single kind of gun. You have pistols, you have lever actions, you have bolt actions, you have your shotguns. Now there are a good variety of selections for most of those weapons. Shotguns, you're most likely to just find like your single barrels like the Romero, or your double barrels like the Codwell. Those are some of my favorites, but then there's also the pump action, the one and only Spectre. There's the Crown and King Auto 5 for shotguns. But this entire segment wasn't meant to talk about shotguns, was it? Let's also talk about some of the more commonly found weapons, such as Winfields. They're good, they're cheap, they're reliable. They don't hit like a truck, but you're not trying to get them to. You're trying to get them so they can shoot a little bit faster than your average little bolt-action rifle. Now, moving on to the most important, mostly used topic of weapons in the game, the bolt-action rifles, which my favorite being, which I use this like in almost every other match, the Vertilli Carabiner. This gun, well-rounded, very perfect, extremely fast, good for killing. But then most people would recommend, if you can afford it, to get a Mosin Nagant rifle for bolt actions, which is the most overwhelmingly awesome good gun. I'm doing trash at explaining this. It's really good. Everyone uses it if they can afford it, so I'd recommend using it too. But yeah. Now, once you encounter players, your one and only goal should be to shoot and kill them, because they are going to try to shoot and kill you. So, you know, do your best out there, hunters. And now we're moving on to the most important topic, which we just skipped over the video evidence of what was occurring with it. We're moving on to the boss system. Once you encounter bosses around the map after finding all the clues, you go and fight the boss. Every boss has their own different weakness. The Butcher is weak to axes but strong to fire. The Spider is weak to hammers but poison resistance. The Assassin has a hit placement on his chest, and I still don't know too much about the Scrap Beak, even though they're dropped. I probably should look up a video on their weaknesses and strengths, but I think that all of them are pretty weak to bullets, especially if you have like a pretty shredded shotgun. But yeah. And then after you beat the boss, you collect a bounty from them after banishing them, and then you go to an extraction point like you're seeing in the background, where a timer will go down for 30 seconds, and once that timer's up, you leave, and if you got out safely without getting shot while extracting, you get to keep your bounty and all the XP you gain from it. Now, that was about all I could explain to you about Hunt Showdown for today. I'll probably be uploading more videos on this later on in my YouTube career, but, well, all I have to say now is have some good games, guys. Peace out.